everybody. I look like a mess. My office looks like a complete mess. I have a lot of announcements to make that I'm sure you guys already heard of from a really brief video that I put out on my birthday. That for my golden birthday, I decided to buy myself a plot of land and a house and start my life living very simply, living for God, homesteading, away from the city, away from the world, and all of that stuff. I can't wait till everything settles down and I can start even vlogging, making content, building on my website again, doing all these things, and doing more Bible studies, because I've just been so busy. So you can see a lot of the shelf, the books I've been packing, you guys. I have so many, but I have this set right here because I wanted to share it with you really briefly before I pack them up. I have so many things to talk about. Some is relating to Bible stuff, some is relating to gardening, finances, my homestead, regular life updates. So grab a cup of coffee and stick with me. I'm just going to put out this update video because I know that in the next month or two I'm going to be extremely busy. So I have my coffee jazz playing in the background. I love listening to this. If you guys can see on my computer, you just type in YouTube coffee jazz or coffee house music and stuff, and it's just relaxing. I listen to that, or I listen to some sermons while I've been packing, and it's just been really nice. But this, so you guys can see, this is only an ounce of my books. Let me try to show you if you can see right here. All of these, I know it's so messy because I'm packing, so don't mind me, are books because cardboard boxes would break, obviously, you know. Can you guys see me okay? So I packed basically all my books, and I got 2 more boxes, 2 more bins out in the other room. And then this was my recent purchase. I talked to a couple of you guys about Matthew Henry's commentary. It's free online, but you guys know I like books. I don't like online. I like to sticky note. I just dived into it this morning, and I dived into studying thoroughly, semi-thoroughly. I could have gone deeper, to be honest. The 3rd chapter of James, and I really like his commentary. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I agree and am enlightened a great deal by how he can express what scripture means. And if you have trouble kind of understanding the full depth of things, because once you read the Bible, it's a different language, it's a different time, it speaks differently, it's hard to, you have to teach yourself the language and how to think, how, you know, how to interpret it correctly, I guess. And not everything that he says is something that I totally agree with, but a lot of it I do believe is very exactly what the Bible meant, and it makes you think. So even if you don't totally agree with it, or you don't want to take it, you know, for his self, you can use it to spark the flame in your own mind of how you are reading and relating scripture to your life. I love James chapter 3. It talks about controlling your tongue, and that's something that I struggle with, particularly with one person in my immediate family. I struggle with controlling my tongue because it's just something that I have so much. I think I struggle a little bit controlling my tongue in general because I am very blunt, and I'm very, some could say aggressive, but I don't think I'm aggressive because it's me, so I'm biased with myself. And I think I've become, a lot of my previous work and previous life, living in bad neighborhoods, work environments, hustling, all these different things, caused me to be very assertive. Maybe assertive is better than aggressive. And I think sometimes I communicate, even when I'm explaining stuff in the Bible, very assertively, when I think it should be a little bit more meek. That's something that I'm personally working on, because I know me at the end of the day. I don't mean to be aggressive or like overly like, yeah, you know, believe what I believe and think the way that I think, and my opinion is the standard. You're not supposed to be that way. But I think sometimes I can come across that way because of my background, and that's how I am. I'm a very assertive person. I'm very vocally dominant, and I know that about myself. So that's something that me personally, I want to work on. And I wanted to share that with you because the whole object until we die is conforming to Christ's likeness and improving yourself. And the way to improve yourself is to be brutally honest with yourself, and sometimes you have to tell yourself, no, you could work on this. You're not the best, and you know, some things like that. And it talks about a gentle force. And it says in James chapter 3 how man cannot tame his tongue. It is a divine intervention that happens by the grace of God. He gives you the gift to help tame your tongue. It happens as a gift from God. You don't do it yourself, because man cannot tame his tongue on his own. And oftentimes when I know that my tongue is a little bit sharper around certain people, I make a prayer and I'm like, God, please, you know, help me handle this well and make sure that, you know, my mouth can be a problem. Please, you know, help me work better to tame my tongue, essentially. And there are plenty of times I fail and I'm like, wow, my prayer didn't even seem to necessarily work. But I also see improvement over time, and God is putting in my mind areas that I can work on and show me so I can do it better next time. So even though you think you failed at something, for example, if you're praying about something that you want to work on and fix, and even though you feel like you didn't do an, you know, 5-star job at it, God will, what I feel is God will put in your mind the areas that you didn't excel in. Something that you were blind to before is now an area in your mind that, okay, I see where I went wrong here. And that's a blessing in itself, because it gives you the opportunity to correct it. I hope this makes sense. It's a really hard concept to explain. We tie it all in together that if a man, and by man I mean mankind, but if a man can control his tongue, he can control his actions. A person is extremely, it says it in the Proverbs, a person is extremely powerful who can control his emotions, who can control his tongue, because he can control his actions. And I like putting myself in tests where there are people that I know where my tongue is extra sharp, and I put myself in those positions and try to get better every single time, because there are certain people, which everyone has, I think, in their life, where their tongue is extra sharp. For whatever reason, maybe you have anger or resentment towards them, maybe you just don't like them, maybe it's a boss and you are irritated with them, and I like to use those opportunities where someone can be extra irritating to me, and I use them for power to conform to Christ likeness. I use them to improve myself. And don't get hard on yourself if you fail. I failed so many times, but I still keep trying, and eventually, you know, with God's help. But a great commentary on James chapter 3. I just wanted to mention that. The Matthew Henry commentary is a 6-volume set. You can look for deals. Typically you can buy the new one, I think, on Christian Books for about $60. I got mine off A-Books for a great deal. I got mine for $37, $40 with tax, which to me was a great deal, because they can range to a couple $100s too, depending on what year it is and whatever. And they're used. I got a little nick on that side, but that I color all up in my book, so that doesn't matter to me. So if you're looking for a good commentary, again, I always revert back to scripture because that's the final authority, but it really helps sometimes tie things in together and kind of get you used to the language in the Bible. So I recommend that. Okay, moving on. We're going to try to get through this stuff quickly. I know that I did a seed video where I planted all my seeds in the ghetto red solo cups, and I sprouted them, and now it's harvest time, so I wanted to show you what I picked this morning. It's not a lot, there's still more growing and stuff, but I just think it's super cool because it's my first time. So I got a lot of tomatoes. My green peppers came out small because I grew them in a pot and I didn't give them enough room to root and to really grow into a massive pepper, nor these were the cheap seeds. These were not heirloom. I always recommend getting heirloom seeds specifically because you can save the seeds and grow them next year, whereas you can't with non-heirloom seeds. Sometimes you can get lucky and grow something, but they won't grow the same. They won't grow consistent and things like that. I've got the regular size beefsteak tomatoes. And then my favorite on rareseeds.com is where I buy essentially all my seeds. I love that website. It's also known as Baker Creek Seeds. Guys, if you like tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, these are the best tasting cherry tomatoes. They're called Chadwick cherries. You can find them on rareseeds.com. Oregon. It's Baker Creek Seeds. It's the same company, but their website is rareseeds.com, and they're all heirloom. And I save these, oops, tomato down. I save those seeds. I saved the seeds so you don't have to buy them again. They're so tasty. They come out abundantly. They're great. Chadwick cherries are what they're called. So I've been doing that, and when I eat them, I save the seeds and I dry them out. So I have a few drying out here on this plate. I'll show it what it looks like. That's what they look like. I don't want to spill it. And I'm testing them before I save them to make sure I'm doing it right. And I tested a few, and I'm going to see if they sprout properly. And all you do is put them in a wet paper towel, cover it, put it in like a, I put it under in the sun right now in my sunroom, and I put the towel, the wet paper towel over, make sure it's really wet like I showed you in my seed starting video, and see if they sprout. And if they sprout, they're good, they're worth saving, because I tried to do that with a store-bought green pepper, and I was trying to save the seeds, and they didn't sprout for me, they actually molded. So one of two things happened that went wrong if they molded, is I didn't dry them out enough, because if you don't completely dry the seed out, when you try to sprout them, they'll mold instead. The seed needs to be really dried out. That's why you lay them here on the plate and put them in the sun, or any dry place really, doesn't have to be in the sun. I put them in my sunroom. And they either were too wet because they molded, or they simply were not heirloom, they couldn't sprout again. So one or the other. I'm trying to sprout these. So there's that. I don't want to spill these, so I'll put them over here for now. So everything's crazy. I dropped a bunch of papers on the floor. I'm really excited because I finally bought my dream place. I mean, it's maybe to someone else it wouldn't look like their dream place, but to me it's my dream place because I have a plot of land, I have some acreage and a house, and I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Beautiful land, beautiful, historic, religiously historic town, which I'm thrilled. I can't wait to do videos on it just to see the history behind it. So it's beautiful, and I got a great water source. I am just, it is a blessing from God. And I have a story time because I actually went to see a house before that, about a week or two before that happening, and it was a horrific, traumatic experience, and I was horrified. And remember, I'm from the city, so small towns are new to me, so I wasn't totally aware of what a small town was like. And this town, before I bought this property, this town was so emotionally scarring. It was horrific. I have a whole story time that I want to do a separate video on, that I'll most likely do in my new house, because it's an interesting, juicy story that I want to share. And I was upset, and I prayed to God, and I've been looking for a place for, you guys know I mentioned in my video all the time, I'm moving, I'm trying to move, I'm looking for a place, and I wanted a homestead. I wanted a plot of land, I wanted a house that I can afford. I wanted to pay it off in cash up front, just so I wouldn't have anything owned by the bank. I don't trust the banks. I don't like banks owning anything of mine. I don't like debt, period. And so you guys who know me know that I'm extremely frugal. I save my money and I try to live very modestly. And I don't crave things of this world that everyone is enclosed in a rat race, in a circle. You know, Jesus makes God makes your paths straight. The flesh, the world, they put you in that rat race, and it's a continual circle. And by the time you're old enough, which is the time it's too late, you realize that circle, that rat race, that you striving for the best house on the best block with the big mortgage and the big car payments just to impress people who really don't matter, and to continue on that cycle. You realize when it's too late that it was all in vain, that it wasn't worth it, that it didn't bring happiness. And I'm so excited to live a simple life and share that with you over here on this channel. I'm really, really excited, and I'm proud of myself. I was struggling with a very big depression for the past 2 years, and it seemed to keep getting worse, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I'm going to do a video on that as well, because I was going through a season where God was bringing me closer to Him. And oftentimes when you're going through a very sad and hard part of your life, or even a confusing part of your life, or a part of your life where you can't move, God puts you in a position in life where you feel confused, you don't know what career to choose, you don't know where to move, you don't know what choices to make, you don't know what you want. God is making you sit down for a minute. And that minute can be an extremely long minute. And use that opportunity to continue to push forward and pray for strength and endurance, because God is teaching you things. One of them being patience, and God has taught me a great amount of patience, taught me so many things, and I want to dive into it deeper, but that'll be for another video. I'm just trying to do a relatively quick update video, and I'm already talking your ear off, so I want to get into all these topics. So please comment below so I don't forget these topics that you want to hear more about. Be like, hey Mary, I want to hear more about, like, how did you get through this depression, and what do you mean it's bringing you closer to God? Or hey Mary, you know, how did you, decide where to live, and what should I look for if I want to follow those same steps? Or whatever you have questions on. I'm gonna be a noodle brain for next month, moving and getting things together and adjusting and acclimating myself, so leave comments down below for that. But other than that, I want to know also how you guys are doing on your journey with Christ as well, because it's important, and I'm trying to grow a community with everyone, and it's hard because I haven't been able to really have social media like that, and I need to readjust the social media that I do have, because a lot of the social media that I have up right now, like my Instagram for example, was before I knew God, so I want to adjust that, obviously, and things like that. So that's something else I want to work on. I bought these really cool lamps that I wanted to show you guys for the place, because you guys know that I put out a video about the whole grid shutdown and how that's the new pandemic or whatever, the cybersecurity stuff, and I have been preparing for pretty much all disasters, which by the way is extremely tedious and annoying to pack everything you prepped. If you guys seen my prepping video and all the stuff that I had on those shelves and stuff, and obviously I accumulated more since that time, it is an extreme amount of things to pack when you're moving, and it's very annoying, and I had a little bit of a mental breakdown when I was packing it, because it was just so much and so overwhelming. I was like, is this even worth it to pack and worth it to bring? Where am I even gonna put it in this new place and set it up? And just, it was so much. But it is worth it to be prepared, because even if you can't use those things, someone else will find it and survive off the stuff that you prepared, even, like let's say I die first. I'm just speaking in apocalyptic terms. I just get excited over it. So I bought these on OfferUp. It's kind of like a Craigslist app, and I'm really excited. And I bought them for such a good price. Oh, I don't have the tops for it. Well, I'll show you the bottom. But they are the old school lamps with the oil. I kind of want to get the top. I'll get the top just to show you. Hold on. Okay. I got the top because I just wanted to show you. And you put oil, paraffin, or I think, what is it called? Kerosene oil. You put this on here. And this one has a tall snoot thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's taller, so it actually generates heat as well, which is good for a heat source too, because it gets pretty hot. And you can see all the oil in here, and you see that thick wick. There'll be a flame right here, and this, you can make it go up. And when you want to turn the light off, you just twist it down and it gets rid of the flame, So it's really cool. They're pretty expensive, and I got 2 of these for 40 bucks, which to me was a great deal, because you can buy cheap ones on Amazon, but the cheap ones, they're cheap. They won't generate heat as good. These ones are from Texas. Well, that's what the guy told me anyway. Either way, it's better than nothing. I actually have smaller ones that I got on eBay for like nightstands, and I didn't know they were small when I bought them. I didn't look at the measurements on eBay. I'll show them to you. They're really cute, but they're small. They're smaller, they still work, and they're more of like a little bathroom light that you could use. I just want to have light sources that are good. They look like this, you know. They have the little wick inside. Obviously it's a smaller wick and a smaller light, but they're really cute. I'm gonna put them probably in my bathrooms and whatever as emergency lights, you know, in case power goes out or who knows what will happen. I just like to be prepared for those things. And then I got a big roll of the wick for when it uses. They actually gave it to me with it, so that was a good deal. But you can buy the replacement on Amazon. So I wanted to show you guys that because I was excited to put it for my new place. So I'm gonna be doing that. And then something else I wanted to show you that I'm trying to grow is a vanilla bean orchid right here. This is how I'm growing it, and it will produce eventually vanilla beans. And I bake, I cook a lot, I bake a lot. I want to produce my own vanilla extract. So this is my little vanilla bean orchid starting already. And if you guys want to buy a vanilla bean orchid, I bought mine, my little sprout, on Etsy, because you can buy and sell plants that are more rare to find than going to your local flower shop or your local garden center. And I buy mine off Etsy, but I want it to be straight. So that, I'm just really excited. So that's where I'm going to be if I don't post too much, or if it seems a little inconsistent and off, it's because I'm currently moving and I'm really excited to do a bunch of videos on it. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, and I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to live a more simple life and live in a small town. The town has less than 1,000 people, so it's a very small town, and I'm just thrilled. I am in love with it. I'm very excited. I have high hopes, but I'm sure there's going to be a period of adjustment because I'm not used to it, nor have I ever lived in a place like that, let alone by myself. So it's going to be a period of adjusting and acclimating myself, but I wanted to update you guys on a bunch of different things that I thought you might think was interesting. So leave a comment down below on anything you want to say or add, and look forward to more new content, consistent content. I just need to make this move, and there's so much work to do, so much work to be done. I will see you guys in the next upcoming video. Thank you so much for watching.